I want to talk to you today about something that might sound absolutely radical, but it's also the most natural thing in the world. I want to talk to you about how you are, right now, in this very moment, creating your reality now. I know what some of you might be thinking. Wait a minute. I didn't create this traffic jam I sat in this morning. I didn't create my difficult boss or my bank account balance. But here's what I'm inviting you to consider. Every single thing in your life right now is a reflection of your dominant state of consciousness. Everything. Let me tell you something that changed everything for me when I really understood it. Your imagination is not some frivolous thing you use to daydream. Your imagination is the creative force of the universe flowing through you. When you imagine something, when you really feel it as real, you are not pretending. You are creating. Think about it this way. Before anything exists in your physical world, it first exists as a thought, as an image, as a feeling inside of you. The chair you're sitting on, the building you're in, the phone in your pocket, all of these things were once just imagination in someone's mind. Someone imagined them into being, and you have that same power. But here's the key that most people miss. It's not just about thinking about what you want. It's about feeling as though you already have it. It's about assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Because you see, creation is finished. Everything you could ever want already exists. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to align yourself with the version of reality where it already has happened. Whatever you assume to be true becomes true in your experience. Not eventually, not if you're lucky, but inevitably. Your assumptions harden into facts. If you assume that life is difficult, you will find evidence everywhere to support that assumption. If you assume that people are unkind, you will encounter unkind people. If you assume that money is hard to come by, you will struggle financially. But here's the beautiful flip side. If you assume that you are blessed, that things work out for you, that you are loved and supported by life itself, then that becomes your experience. Your assumptions create your reality like a sculptor creates a statue. Every day, with every thought saturated with feeling, you are chiseling away, revealing the reality that matches your inner state. Now, I want to give you the most practical tool I can offer you. Don't live in the desire, in the wanting, in the hoping. Live in the fulfillment. Live as though what you want has already happened. Let's say you want a new home. Most people spend all their time thinking, I want a new home. When will I get a new home? How will I get a new home? And all of that thinking keeps them in the state of not having the home. The desire itself implies lack. But what if, instead, you closed your eyes right now and you imagined yourself in that home? Not someday, but now. You feel the floor beneath your feet. You see the light coming through the windows. You feel the satisfaction, the peace, the joy of being in your home. You hear the sounds of your neighborhood. You smell dinner cooking in your kitchen. When you do this, when you really do this with feeling, you are not wishing for something in the future. You are claiming it now, in consciousness. And consciousness is the only reality. I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, but then what? I imagine it. And then nothing happens. Here's what you need to understand. You don't need to figure out the how. You don't need to build the bridge. You just need to stand firmly in the state of the wish fulfilled. And the universe will arrange circumstances, people, and events in ways you could never orchestrate with your conscious mind. Doors will open. You'll meet the right person at the right time. You'll stumble upon the perfect opportunity. You'll get an idea that changes everything. But here's the catch. You have to remain faithful to your assumption. You have to persist in the state of already having it, even when your physical senses tell you otherwise. This is where most people give up. They imagine for a day or two, nothing appears to change, and they say, see, it doesn't work. But I'm telling you, there is a time lag between your inner shift and your outer experience. Just like when you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust that beneath the surface, the laws of nature are working. The same is true with your imagination. Once you plant that seed in consciousness, trust that it is growing. Everything you see in your physical world is hardened imagination. Everything. The people who succeeded in any field, They imagined themselves as successful before they were. They lived in that state. They assumed it. And then their world rearranged itself to match their inner conviction. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not at the mercy of the economy or other people's opinions or your past or anything outside of you. You are the operant power. You are the creator of your experience. And the most beautiful part, you don't have to be perfect at this. You don't have to believe it completely right away. You just have to start. You start imagining what you want as though it has already happened. You start assuming that you are the person who has that life. You start feeling the feelings of fulfillment. Here's something else I want you to really grasp. There is no past and no future. There is only now. The past only exists as a memory you're having now. The future only exists as a thought you're having now. Everything is happening now. So when you imagine your desire fulfilled, you're not imagining something for tomorrow. You're experiencing it now, in imagination. And imagination is the true reality. The physical world is just the shadow, the echo of what first takes place in imagination. This means you can change your entire life in an instant. In this very moment, you can assume a new state. You can drop the old story. You can revision your past. You can claim a new future, because it all exists now, in consciousness. Let me tell you something that might blow your mind. Everyone in your life is you pushed out. They are reflecting back to you your own state of consciousness. That difficult person at work, they're showing you something you believe about yourself or about life. That loving partner, they're reflecting your assumption that you are loved. This means that when you change yourself, when you change your state of consciousness, the people in your life will either change how they relate to you, or they will simply leave your experience. You don't have to change them. You can't change them. But you can change yourself and watch your world transform. If you want someone to treat you with more respect, assume that you are respected. If you want to be loved, assume that you are loved. Don't wait for them to change. You change and watch what happens. And here's a beautiful tool. If something happened today that you didn't like, you can revise it. Before you go to sleep tonight, replay that scene in your imagination, but this time, replay it the way you wish it had happened. Feel it. Experience it as real. You're not denying what happened. You're going to a deeper level of causation and changing the seed that produced that experience. And when you do this, you'll notice something miraculous. Either that event will have different consequences than you expected, or it will be as though it never happened at all, because future events will unfold differently. Now, let me be honest with you. This takes persistence. Not effort, but persistence. There's a difference. Effort implies struggle. Persistence is simply remaining loyal to your assumption. It's gently returning to your desired state every time you notice you've wandered into doubt or fear. Think of it like tuning a radio. You don't strain to tune a radio. You just gently adjust the dial until you find the frequency you want. And then you stay there. It's the same with consciousness. You gently return to the frequency of your wish fulfilled, over and over, until it becomes natural, until it becomes your dominant state. And here's the wonderful news. The more you do this, the easier it gets. You're building a new habit of consciousness. You're training yourself to live in the state of the wish fulfilled. And eventually it becomes automatic. You start to notice that your default state is one of knowing that things are working out for you. You start to notice that you automatically assume the best. You start to notice that your imagination naturally goes to what you want, not what you fear. This is when life becomes magical. This is when you realize that you've been the creator all along. Think about the last time something wonderful happened in your life. Maybe you got that job you wanted, or you met someone special, or you received unexpected money. Now think back to before it happened. Were you worrying about it? Were you stressed about how it would come? Or were you in a state of knowing? Were you relaxed about it? Most likely you were in a state where you had released the need to control how it happened. You had assumed it was already done. You were living in the end. And then it showed up. That's how it works. That's how it always works. The problem is, most people only do this accidentally. They stumble into the right state without realizing it, and then something wonderful manifests, and they think they got lucky. But it wasn't luck. It was law. It was the law of consciousness. It was the law of assumption. And you can use this law deliberately. You can consciously choose your state. You can consciously assume that your desire is fulfilled. You can consciously live in the end. And when you do, you will see your world transform before your eyes. Let me give you a very practical example. Let's say you want more money. Most people, when they think about money, they feel the lack of it. They feel the stress, the worry, the fear. And what do they create? More lack, more stress, more worry. But what if you did something different? What if right now you imagined yourself with all the money you need and more? Not in the future, but now. You feel the relief. You feel the security. You feel the freedom. You feel the joy of being able to buy what you want, to give generously, to live comfortably. You imagine checking your bank account and seeing an amount that makes you smile. You imagine paying your bills with ease. You imagine treating someone you love to something special. When you do this with feeling, you are impressing your subconscious mind with the reality of wealth. You are assuming the state of being wealthy. And your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's happening in your imagination and what's happening in your physical world. It just accepts whatever you impress upon it with feeling as real. And then it goes to work to make your outer world match your inner conviction. Ideas come to you. Opportunities appear. People offer you things. Money comes from unexpected sources. But it all started with you assuming the feeling of already having it. This is what I mean by consciousness is the only reality. Your physical world is just a reflection, a mirror of your inner state. Change your inner state, and the mirror has to change. It's law. It's not something that works sometimes if you're lucky. It's something that works all the time, because it's the fundamental nature of reality. You're always creating. The question is, what are you creating? Are you creating by default, by allowing your past, your circumstances, your fears to dictate your state? Or are you creating deliberately, by consciously choosing the state of your wish fulfilled? And let me tell you something else. You don't have to wait until you see the evidence to feel good. You don't have to wait until the money is in your bank account to feel wealthy. You don't have to wait until you meet the person to feel love. You don't have to wait until you get the job to feel successful. In fact, waiting for the evidence before you feel the feeling is backwards. The feeling comes first. The feeling is what creates the evidence. Feel it now, and the evidence must follow. This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, but faith in the law. Faith in the principle. Faith that your imagination creates reality. Faith that when you assume something with feeling, it hardens into fact. You don't need to see how it's going to happen. You don't need to figure out the steps. You just need to feel it as real. Persist in that feeling. And to trust that the how will take care of itself. The universe is so much more creative than your conscious mind. It will bring about your desire in ways you never could have planned or predicted. Your job is not to micromanage the process. Your job is to remain faithful to your assumption. And when doubt comes up, because it will, you don't fight it. You don't make it wrong. You simply gently return to your desired state. You remind yourself that you are the creator. You remind yourself that your imagination is the only reality. You close your eyes for a moment and feel your desire fulfilled once again. This is persistence. This is how you impress your subconscious mind so deeply that your outer world has no choice but to conform. I want you to really get this. You are not trying to manipulate reality. You are not trying to force anything to happen. You are simply aligning yourself with the reality where what you want already exists. Because it does already exist. Everything exists. All possibilities exist right now in consciousness. You're just choosing which one you're going to experience. You're choosing by what you assume to be true. You're choosing by what you feel to be real. So right now, in this moment, you can decide. What do you want to experience? What do you want to be true in your life? And then you simply assume it is already true. You live in that assumption. You feel from that assumption. You think from that assumption. You act from that assumption. And before you know it, what was once just imagination becomes your physical reality. That's the promise. That's the law. That's the truth of who you are. You are the creator of your reality. You always have been and you always will be. The only question is, what are you going to create?